You're on.
Okay, so I'm Terry Malloy. I'm co-founder of The Human Business. And this talk, entitled Closer to the Dream, was inspired by a good friend of mine who very tragically died March 2023. Paul was 15 years younger than me, and he died very quickly of cancer. He was diagnosed on Boxing Day, and he was dead by the end of March, having just done his third round of chemo. When he died, I was told by his sister that he just died, and I was sort of, oh, that's really sad. And that was it until about a week later, when it really hit me very strongly, because death had never touched me. My parents, I'm fortunate to say, are still alive at 92 and 88. So this was the first time death had actually ever come across my path. And it made me take a real hard look at what was important about life and how I was spending it. And one of the things that it reconnected me to was about 10 years ago, somebody asked me, what are the three values, the three things that are right central to what makes you tick? And I said these three words: fun, peace, and freedom. And as I said them, I actually couldn't believe I'd said them. Because if I'd have thought about it, wouldn't have been the words that I said. I would have thought about integrity and trust and honesty and something like that. But fun, peace, and freedom had come out of my mouth before I'd even realized I'd said them. But when I stopped to think about them, I realized when I was happiest, every decision I made had been based around, did this decision give me more fun, more peace, and more freedom? When it didn't, life somehow didn't work out the way in which I expected it. Um, but when I incorporated those three words, those three questions into my decision-making process, then I felt a lot more at peace, and life seemed to flow. About 2 years after I did that, I was asked to run a coaching program for a chain called the Fantastic Hairdresser. And I was teaching them some online video marketing strategies. And as part of the process of getting to know you, um, I said everybody could ask me a question. And one particular lady asked me a question: why did I want to teach them marketing skills when they worked in a salon? And I said, because I see you as peacemakers. And the look on her face, her jaw dropped, and she was puzzled. And I said to her, if you think about it, you have probably one of the most intimate jobs that you can do. You touch people's head, right? How many times do people get to touch someone's head just as a way of doing your day-to-day work? And I said, do you feel sometimes if somebody touches your head that you're not getting a good vibe? And she said, oh yes, if somebody touches my head, and I know instantly whether they're a good person or a bad person, whether they're my person or not my person. I said, so if we look at your kind of self-employed, you have a workstation in the salon, if you actually can fill that station more efficiently, it's likely that the owner of the salon isn't going to be pressurized because they need to generate revenue. If you are under pressure because of the salon owner, is it possible that people can feel in your hands that you're worried and you're tense and you're anxious? And he said, oh yeah, they would. I said, well, if you know how to market properly, that means people come to you, they have a really good experience having their hair cut, but they leave feeling really positive about themselves. And so each person they interact with after they've left the salon, they're in a better space to deal with. And so you actually can put more peace into the world by people leaving you not only looking great, but feeling great. And that made me think how important it is for all of us to recognize, are we doing something because we really enjoy it and it nurtures us, or are we doing something just because we feel as though it's a way to earn some money? And for me, this concept of being closer to the dream was being very much aware that I do this because I love doing it. If I'm doing it just for a job, I might as well work for people. But even if you're working for somebody, the company you work for, I would suggest they have to have some values and they have to exist to do something which you feel aligned to. So we at the Human Business, we look at micro businesses. Now, these statistics you may know, or they may come as a surprise to you. 99.8% of UK businesses are classified as SMEs, i.e. under 250 employees. But when you break that down even further, 0.67 of SMEs are 50 to 250. 4% are 10 employees to 50 employees. That means 95.3% of the 99.86% are micro businesses. That's less than 10 employees. And we generate 28.66%, sorry, 28.66% of that 95% have no employees. They're just one-man band operations. But we generate about 330 billion. So we are literally a nation of shopkeepers. Now, the thing about that is when people talk about businesses, when you hear it on the media, everything really is geared to larger companies. You know, it's either over 250 or it's certainly over 50. But the solopreneur or the company that's got less than 10 employees, they don't have the same opportunities to navigate the challenges that they're facing because they don't have money to throw at something. They don't have lots of other people to juggle around. It's just them. And so micro businesses are operating what I call a three-ring circus. How much time is this going to take? How much money is it going to cost me? And is this going to leave me depleted or am I going to feel energized by something? And that energy can, in some ways, be as simple as when I see an email come in, does it look as though it's easy to read or difficult to read? Does it make me feel as though I can engage with it or not? So everything we do as a micro business owner, we have to recognize there's a time, money, and energy component to it. So when Paul died, we were in the process of doing a survey on what we call well-being in the future of work. And what came out of that survey was some startling statistics. The sacrifices that people were making were shocking. 30.8% of micro business owners were saying that their mental well-being was impacted. 30% were giving up on hobbies. They didn't have enough time to do those. 28% said their physical well-being was sacrificed. 27% it was their families. 26% they were not spending enough time with their friends, right? Because they have to do the day job as well as manage all of this. But two of the statistics which really shocked me were that 59% said they just can't switch off. They were just having to work all the time. And that overall stress meant that 75% of them got into heated arguments with their partners. And that really kind of hit me as to the The challenge that's faced when you're running a micro business, this reason you started your business in the first place, this dream you had for creating it, was somehow being contaminated with the reality of how do I balance the demands of the day job and my well-being. 44% of them found themselves working more than they should, and they were unwittingly betraying the initial dreams they had for starting their business. So when we looked at it, we broke it down into 9 categories, in no particular order. But the first one was work-life balance. The second was isolation and loneliness. And it's heartening to hear things like Laptop Fridays existing to bring people together so that you don't feel particularly alone. Health and well-being neglect, stress and burnout, a lack of personal development opportunities. Financial uncertainty was a great worry. Limited resources, only them, or not necessarily enough time or money. Massive amounts of uncertainty and risk, and an increasingly regulatory compliance environment. So those 9 things impact a micro business owner far more than they impact larger businesses, because it'll only be the micro business owner who has to navigate all of these. But running through all of that was a common thread, and that common thread was connection. The more connection that we have in our lives, the more we're able to navigate those 9 challenges. And we looked at connection in 3 different ways. First of all, a connection to self, connection to who you are and what's important to you, the dream, and we'll come on to that. Connection to other people, and actually, most importantly, a connection to purpose. What drives you? What gets you out of bed in the morning? A lot of the research came out that said people who had a strong sense of purpose, whether they're working for other people or working for themselves, they navigated the challenges of life far better. It was as though they had a reason for getting out of bed and doing what they're doing. People who didn't have a sense of purpose struggled. We came up with 10 starting questions for you to look at your level of connection. Now, we're not going to have time to go through these now, but I'm going to give you a copy of all of these slides and you can go through these at your leisure. But just as an indication, those are the 10 questions. You can either screenshot it for you or you can wait till you get the handouts. But if you honestly go through that as an inventory, you are actually engaging that first level of connection, your connection to yourself. So I want to give you a little exercise because this is about being closer to your dream. And the exercise is, I want you to take 2 minutes to write down either why you started your business or why you're working for the company you're working. What was it about them that connected to you at a deeper level? Right? So that would be your purpose. So what was your original dream, your original purpose for working for the company you're working for or setting up the business? And think about the emotions and purposes that motivated you for creating that. And I'm not going to ask you to share them out, but just write them down so you can feel connected back to, this is why I did it. For me, it was to have that greater sense of contribution. I've always believed in a more peaceful world. I've always believed that people can actually achieve far more when we collaborate and work together. But the challenge is finding people who believe the same as you. So I am quite happy now to be called an idealist, a dreamer, a fantasist, because I think that's really what we need. We need to find things that inspire us, get us excited about life. And you need to put that flag in the ground and say, that's me, that's what I stand for. So people are drawn to you, as opposed to you trying to, and I've done it for many years, trying to package who I am to appeal to a certain type of people, as opposed to, this is who I am. I'm either a sandwich short of a picnic in the minds of some people, or I'm the picnic that they're looking for. Right? So if you've got your questions there, what I'd be interested in doing, um, if you'd like to, is to have a conversation with you afterwards about why you started your business, what your original dream is, because that sense of connection to other people really is important it's important to me, but it's important to all of us, so that we can navigate the challenges that we face in life, and feel as though that we have people around us who are rooting for us to succeed. Um, so if you'd like to join us on our mission to put human into 1 million UK businesses, to support micro business owners finding a lasting balance between the demands of their day job and their personal well-being in order to live happier and more fulfilling and peaceful lives, then I'd invite you to check out the website, um, and have a conversation with us.